Hello people of YouTube, my name is Brad. This is my channel Adamant Orange, and this week in 3D metal model news. There's not a whole lot to talk about this week. Doing my research and looking for what's new, I really didn't find anything. Metal Earth's or Fascination's website is just the same as last week. No new models showing up. Stuff that was announced in the recent newsletter is not even on the coming soon page. The Darth Vader model is still missing. Nothing has moved from what's new or coming soon to what's new. P-School is just the same as it was last week. I even checked MU models. Nothing new on there. I've looked around AliExpress, Crazy Toys. I've looked around. I don't see any new models out this week, which is really surprising because I've been gone just over a week since last week's video, because I'm sure you've already noticed it didn't put out a video Friday. It's Saturday before I'm getting this out. Now, for those of you who've been following this channel, you know that I started a new job last week. I was very excited about that. I put out a video talking about how I've, trying to get back into the workforce, and I've managed to do that. And I'm very, very thrilled and also very tired, but I spent Monday through Friday of last week working almost 40 hours. The first day was a little short. It's all orientation, and they brought me in late in the day, and I only stayed so late because I had to be back at 6 the next morning. Instead of bringing me in at 6 or 7 in the morning and doing orientation, they brought me in at 12:30, and I think I stayed until about 6:30 in the evening with no lunch. They gave me the opportunity to make up the hours, and I thought about staying like a half hour late every day. And no, just by the end of the day I was exhausted because I am not accustomed to being on my feet that long. Working as a crossing guard as I did previously before the pandemic, I had walked a lot and was probably better able to handle it, but hadn't been because of the pandemic, and still tried to get some walking in and exercise, but without a direct reason. Plus, the people in my neighborhood are not being as careful as I'd like them to be, nowhere near as careful as I'd like them to be, so they tend to avoid going out because I'm high risk. But anyway, definitely things are changing as far as when the videos are going to come out. I'm going to try and keep a consistent schedule, but I'm still getting a feeling for what's going on. The first week was a solid week, which I don't think is going to be the norm. When I understand, it'll probably be more like working 3 to 4 days, having a day off, and the days off are going to rotate around. So I'm going to try and continue to either do a Friday or Saturday video and try to maintain a schedule, but things may be a bit odd as I get used to it. Just this last week, I mean, I'm still going to have the same amount of time after work and before work to do the things, but there were a lot of things to just sort of sort out and take care of at the same time as starting this new job, and a lot of things to adjust to, and figuring out how I'm going to do this and how I'm going to do that, and making sure dinner is ready, and planning ahead, and making sure I have a lunch, and because I'm not the kind of person to go buy a lunch every day. But anyway, and still dealing with the truck. The truck is finally drivable, but not inspected, and I had to take that to the shop, and they're still working out a couple of things working out the taillight issue. Anyway, I keep going on about my personal life, but this is supposed to be about 3D metal model news, which there really isn't anything new this week, but I'm going to try and keep a schedule, but bear with me for a little while as I figure out this new normal and how I'm going to manage everything. And I still have the review to do for the in-color AT-AT, which it's not going to be very much. It's the third time I've built an AT-AT, and the build's always been the same, and I think the instructions are exactly the same. If anything, the order may have changed a little bit, and I honestly need to pull out the instructions and double check that. The only thing new as far as actual metal models I have to report is I did finally get my Time for Machine Kickstarter model, which I posted about it on YouTube. I just didn't make a video yet, and I still haven't opened this up, but I do have the box, the old box, to compare to. So of interest is it's a slightly smaller box, not quite as tall, not quite as long, not quite as thick as the old box. The look is very much the same, some different coloring in the wording, and we've got, I mean, the wording here has color to it. We've got an extra hand over there but the tank looks the same. One thing of note is the old model had 155 pieces, whereas the new one has 140. And you may wonder, why did I get the same model that I already had? Well, I wanted to compare because the Marvel Tank 2 was supposed to be an improved version of the original Marvel Tank. I had trouble with the original Marvel Tank. Some people were able to get it working fine, but some people had some difficulty. My assumption is that they tried to work on that to make it easier to get it right, get it easier for the novice to get it right. These models are obviously designed by somebody who has a mechanical mind and knows how to put these things together. The rest of us, some do, some don't. Some of us are struggling. Anyway, I'm assuming they made some changes to make it easier to put it together successfully. I was curious to see those changes, and as I had mentioned in another video, how when this Kickstarter went out, they did say, Time For Machine, or someone from Time For Machine did say that they would send me models for me to review once the Kickstarter has done, which technically is not done yet. But I still wanted to experience the Kickstarter for myself. I still wanted to order my own model and give it a try. And I debated getting a different model, but I also really wanted to give the Marvel Tank another try and said that I would. So that's what I ended up doing, is getting the Marvel Tank for myself. Whether or not they're still going to send me their list of models to build and review, I have no idea. I've not heard a peep from them. And I did say they need to get everybody else settled first before they send me anything for free. And I stand by that. If they don't send me any models to review at this point, that's fine. But I did finally get my Kickstarter. I'm still quite dubious of the idea of ever supporting them again because of how badly I feel this Kickstarter was handled. It could have been just a series of unfortunate events that they couldn't help. But so many things in their communication suggest that there was something else going on. And it looks fishy. In the end, though, I've got my model. I've heard a few other people have. I know others, the last time I posted about this, hadn't even gotten a tracking number. So they are definitely given the impression that they are working slowly through. Perhaps they're being more careful. Perhaps this is a byproduct of them handling everything in-house rather than contracting it out. That could be explained by, we pay somebody else to do this so they can send it out quicker, and that didn't work, so now we're doing it ourselves. And the suspicious part of me says that, maybe they were just, had to find other funding and are still actually making our models. But I'm not going to continue to speculate and point fingers and accuse. I just wanted to say that I did finally get mine. Other people are getting theirs, so they are apparently finally being fulfilled, albeit a lot later than any of us would have thought. It does still remain a bit suspicious, but here we are. I definitely want to give the Marvel Tank 2 another try and see how that goes. I have other models that I want to build, a couple other new things that I want to try, and just need to find the time to actually do that. And I will look forward to some time to sit and rest my feet after this past week. They keep whining and complaining about that. It's funny because the rest of me was rip-roaring and ready to go and full of energy and ready to do the things, but about halfway through the day my feet are just done, just absolutely done. And I'm really hoping that will improve as they become more accustomed to doing that. And I got the next 2 days off, so I have some time to heal. But that is pretty much it for this week in 3D Metal Model News. There's not any new models coming out. Nothing new from Metal Earth that's been announced has become available. I'm guessing this is just still a product of so much, if not all of this stuff is coming from China ultimately, and they're still getting back on their feet. There's been talk for quite a while now, as far as what I've been hearing and what I believe, possible second wave of COVID-19 hitting anywhere. And it definitely looks like that's what's going on. So that's just going to continue to slow things down. And people really need to be more careful and concerned for others. And some places don't get that right. It's not everyone's fault. It's the fault of the people who don't want to care, don't know how to care, or just simply weren't raised how to care about others. And that's just so terribly unfortunate. But here we are, struggling on as we do every day with what we have. So we'll see you again next week with hopefully some actual news of new models coming soon. Until then, thank you for watching. Thank you to my Patreon supporters for continuing to support this channel. Your contributions are much appreciated, and as always, keep on keeping on.